Pinpoint what you are feeling, number one. So this is ways to kind of prevent this emotional overwhelm from taking over. So number one, pinpoint what you are feeling, okay? Pay attention to how you feel and when you feel it. Okay, now some people at this point kind of go, oh God, he's getting all pink and fluffy again. I'm talking about noticing your feelings. That's exactly what I'm saying. And for the people that know me well, I'm not pink and fluffy. I'm not a pink and fluffy type person, really. What I'm saying is to take note of how you're feeling. There's nothing wrong with it. There's so many stigma. There's so much stigma about getting in touch with your feelings and stuff like that. Actually, notice what you're feeling. Okay? Notice what you're feeling and when you feel it, because you'll start to notice a pattern that will emerge. And that's why I've got this routine. I know when I start feeling certain things, I move myself into another routine to stop that routine from carrying on. So notice what you're feeling when you're feeling. Do I do it every time? No, not always, but I try and do it more often than not. That's the key, okay? If you can deal with the exception if it's not the rule. If it's the other way around, you've got a problem. So if it's the other way around and you can't get out of it regularly, then you've got a bigger a hill to climb, but it's doable, absolutely doable. And if you do it right most of the time, but occasionally you let yourself wallow for a couple of days, then you can pick yourself up from it afterwards, can't you? So notice when you feel and why you feel it. Write it down. So there's something called journaling in mental health, where you journal how you feel during the day, okay? A lot of people kind of go, oh my God, really? I've got to write a diary of how I'm feeling? Psychologically, when you write something down, you remove it from your head, okay? And you commit to what it is on the paper. It's a psychological thing that's built in. It's probably because we've been writing for a long time as a society. Okay, so write it down if you can. You don't have to publish it. It doesn't have to be in depth. It might just go 10 o'clock, annoyed. 11 o'clock, little bit hopeless. Yeah, what caused it? Okay, hopeless, just had that, just missed that sale or whatever. Okay, so just think about that. Write it down if you want to. And then tackle one at a time. Once you've written it down for, let's say, a week, you can go back, you'll notice a pattern, and then you're able to go, okay, well, there's a pattern there, so let's tackle that one thing first. Let's tackle that one feeling first, and then I'll tackle number 2, and then I'll tackle number 3. Because if you try and tackle everything at once, then you're going to struggle with that, and the what if scenarios will then come back. Well, I'm going to do that, but what about that? I'm going to kind of blanks your head a little bit. So write it down, do one thing at once. So pinpoint what you are feeling. Number 2, pinpoint why you are feeling it. Okay, so when you're journaling, I feel hopeless. Okay, why? What's the reason? Try and get to the nitty gritty. Well, this has just happened. Yeah, and if you don't quite know at the time, just write don't know on that one and move on. Because if you stand there worrying about it and trying to come up with something you're not quite sure of at the moment, then you'll probably stop journaling at that point as well. Yeah, so just I'm feeling like this. If you know, write it down. If you know, just put don't know. If you get to the end of the week and you've got a lot of don't knows against one particular feeling, then you can do a little bit more diagnostic work on it when you're a little bit more detached at that point. Okay, so try and work out why you are feeling it. What is the reason? What is driving that feeling? Because we're going to start to try and get to the nitty gritty then. Yeah, and also it's okay. So if you write down I'm annoyed, angry, I feel depressed, don't then go I shouldn't feel those things, because you don't feel very good and then you beat yourself up for not feeling very good. So it's a double whammy. It's a catch-22 situation you catch yourself in. So write down why you're feeling, write down why you're feeling it if you can, and then tell yourself that's okay at the moment. That's okay, I've got it, wrote it down, fine, no problem, I'll capture it, I'm going to do something about that. So just be a bit kinder to yourself. Don't beat yourself up for feeling bad, or some people, don't beat yourself up for beating yourself up. That doesn't make any sense, okay? Get over it, get past it. What's in the past is done, it's gone, move on, okay? And then finally, you want to take some action on it, but you might not feel that you can take action straight away. That's okay. Just journal it for a couple of days, and if you don't even write it down, just keep it in your head for a couple of days, what you're feeling, why you're feeling it. Notice the pattern, okay? Notice the pattern, do a bit of diagnostic work, what's causing that, and then take some action on it if you can. If you can't, because of uncertainty, then you've got to go full circle back to the first half an hour of this session and do some of the things that you can do to make that uncertainty better. Okay, so this is why I've linked these two things together. Right, so I'll just say that one more time. If you're struggling to take action because it's not within your control and things are uncertain, go back to the first 30 minutes of this session on the YouTube channel and go, okay, there were 5 key things that I need to do there to help me with uncertainty. So you can go back and you can deal with that, because otherwise what happens is you start ping-ponging from between feeling bad and uncertain, feeling bad and uncertain, and somewhere you need to make the break between those two things. Okay, so number 2, pinpoint why you're feeling it and take action on it if you can. Number 3, pause. When we've got emotional flooding and emotional overwhelm, it's worth just to stop for a moment. Okay, stop it in its tracks. Okay, if you remember, for those that do done the sessions with me, dendrites, if you remember, these are pathways in your brain. If you've got lots of pathways, let's say you've got all of these pathways that are leading, okay, to emotional overwhelm or emotional flooding, okay, if you pause for a moment, what you might be able to do is just create a new path and cut off the old paths. Okay, so when you just pause and take control of your brain for a moment, the flood of chemical, you may be able just to stop for a moment and trying to kind of stop it in its tracks. Okay, so stop what you're doing. Do some breathing exercises. The exercise I use and you guys might know is called 4-4-4. Breathe in for 4, hold it for 4, breathe out for 4, or sometimes it's called square breathing. So just stop, focus on your breathing, and then create some mental space. So that comes back to that piece of hardboard in your head, slot it in, move those feelings to the back of your brain, you know, in that pausing moment, and give yourself an opportunity to make some different thoughts going forward. Okay, so just pause sometimes. It's worth doing it, even if it's just for a few minutes. Take yourself out of what's going on when it's all getting too much. Cut, pause, try to stop the dendrites over here from flooding that chemical into your system. Maybe do some breathing exercises, create a bit of mind space. Okay, and again, we've done sessions on this in the past. The mindfulness one, I think that's on the YouTube channel now. We talked about breathing and all that type of stuff. Okay. Number 4, disrupt the flow. So again, this follows the theme of disrupting these dendrite paths, all flooding your brain with chemical. Okay, so there's 3 other things that we can do to stop the flow of that emotional overwhelm. Number 1, and I always chuckle when I talk about this one, go to your happy place. Now, I don't know about you, but when I think happy place, I think Happy Gilmore. If you're not a golfer or interested in Adam Sandler, you may not have seen seen this movie. But Happy Gilmore, let's just say he's got some anger issues, and he has to go to a happy place to calm down. Now, your happy place could be, close your eyes and think of the last holiday you were on the beach, you were sitting down, you had a cold beer, you could hear the waves crashing, whatever your happy place is. For me, I think of beach and waves, as I've just said, but to be honest, I think of Happy Gilmore swearing at a golf ball. And actually, that's not my happy place, but because he went to a happy place in the film, it's a trigger for me, and it just makes me smile. Or I try and think of, you know, an Only Fools and Horses sketch, you know, either falling through the hatch or the chandelier, you know, or trigger listening to Mozart and, you know, telling Dal it's the karaoke version because there's no words, or whatever. The trigger is to try and make you change the chemical in the system to something that's gonna make you laugh. And I'm sure if there are any golfers on the session today, and I know Peter's as well, we've all had Happy Gilmore moments where we do want to swear at the golf ball and so on and so on. So it makes it quite real, even though obviously it was a Hollywood film and so on and so on and so on. Yeah? So go find your happy place. And again, people think this is pink and fluffy. It isn't. It is scientifically proven. If you can stop the flow of emotion that you don't want in your dendrites releasing into your system by channeling your thoughts somewhere else, it is scientifically proven that it can be done. So when somebody ever says, oh, the happy place stuff, it's all a load of rubbish, it really isn't. So think about what your happy place is, because it's really important. 5 minutes a day, go to your happy place. Even if you don't need to. 5 minutes a day, that's less than 1% of your day. And if there's anybody on this call that is saying to me, I ain't got 5 minutes, then get up 5 minutes earlier. Or go to bed 5 minutes later, right? 5 minutes is not a big ask, 300 seconds. But and try and do it at the same time every day. It's better for the routine for the body, okay? Go to your happy place. Make yourself feel good, 5 minutes every day. Yeah, it's worth it, it really is. And by the way, that's just a version of mindfulness, if anybody wants to know, okay? And focus on what's going to go well in the day, not what's not going to go well. Yeah, so when you're in this, everything's going wrong, stop, pause for a moment, like we said, go to your happy place, and then focus on, well, what is going well? What is going well? So even when it was hard last year for me, from a business point of view, and it was hard for a lot of us, wasn't it, from a business point of view, I kept saying to myself, my family are okay, my daughters are okay, I'm okay, let's crack on, okay? So what is going well, focus on that, because it will really help, okay? And it will also give you gestalt. As you guys know, my favourite word, balance. It will bring you balance back into your day, and it will help with that emotional overwhelm. Okay? Number 5, expel the negative feelings. So remember, 1 to 4 so far has been about noticing them, understanding why, then going to a happy place and try to start to flood, change the chemical flood, or halt the chemical flood. This is about expelling the chemical flood. Now, if we can get to this stage, that's even better. So, stop beating yourself up for beating yourself up, which we've already talked about, okay? Generate helpful thoughts now. Now, remember, 1 to 4 hasn't been about coming up with helpful thoughts, it's just been about stopping and noticing the bad ones, okay? Now we're talking about what helpful thoughts have you got? And as you guys will no doubt know, I am going to mention my top favourite book of all time, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. I know several of you on this call have read it already by now. Go on the YouTube channel, check it out, go and buy it, read it, absolutely brilliant, best piece of reading you're ever going to read regarding to how you give yourself helpful thoughts, okay? So generate some helpful thoughts and put it into a 3 times a day trigger. So put it into what we call a trigger, or sometimes in psychology it's called an anchor, where you're able to do that, and do it 3 times a day, and over a 6 to 8 week period you will start to change dendrite paths in your head. And finally, to finish off the session, number 6, okay? See mistakes. Do you like me little Homer, my little dog? Yeah, we all have a few of them, don't we? When we beat ourselves up, or we look back on our day and go, oh, you were miserable then. Why do you do a dog? Yeah? Take mistakes as mistakes. Okay? If life is one big audition, when you get it wrong, it's just a mistake. Just a mistake. You get another go. You get another shot at it, okay? As long as you're alive, you keep getting retakes, don't you, at doing things in life, okay? So, unsuccessful people give up. That's the difference between successful people and unsuccessful people. That's about it, okay? If you watch Dragon's Den, half of those dragons have been bankrupt, some of them more than once, okay? But what they did is they learned from the mistakes, did it again, didn't give up, got it right, okay? If you are going to try something again, don't try the same thing, go over the head, under the leg. Well, for the people that I've tied up before, in the ropes exercise, over the head, under the legs, or if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got, in other words. So keep trying, keep doing it. If you make a mistake, you have a bad day, don't beat yourself up for it, it's just a mistake. Just have another go on the back of it, yeah? And remember, this is all going to help with this emotional overwhelm, Okay? Successful people try again. Like I've said, unsuccessful people give up. Successful people, they keep trying, but they don't keep trying the same thing. Okay? I know practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect, actually. So learn from what you need to do, try something slightly different and move forward if it hasn't worked for you. It's just a mistake. You get another go. Okay? Learn and adapt and don't try the same thing, which is what we've just said there. So amazingly, I've actually finished on time for once rather than running over by a couple of minutes. So I know there was lots of content in this particular session because, like I said, these two subjects actually you could have probably split them out into two subjects. But I've just got a message. Let's have a quick look. A person who never made a mistake, never tried anything new. Albert Einstein. Absolutely love it. Thank you for that, Pete. You're absolutely right. And remember, mistakes, if this is your trigger to take away, mistakes are just mistakes.